like every week it's just it's a repeat performance. Don't make changes before the show. Just don't do it. And by all means, remember to turn your cell phone off before the show. I'm Tom Sinclair. It's time for Streaming Idiots. Boy, I tell you what, there's nothing that keeps you, or nothing that keeps me humbler than doing this show every week and riding up to showtime with all these great ideas of stuff that I wanted to demonstrate and show, and things just didn't work right. And, because I'm breaking the rules. You're not supposed to make changes the day of a show. Don't upgrade software. Don't upgrade hardware. Don't install new stuff. What am I doing? I'm installing new stuff. I'm trying to break the system, trying to break my system, because if I can break it, then I can figure out how I broke it and I can make it stronger next time. And you and I both can learn from that. At least hopefully I'll learn from that. I haven't learned my lesson about not doing stuff on show day, but I'm really excited because we've got a new rollout of VidBlaster 3.33. And if you're watching us on YouTube, and by the way, welcome to all our YouTube viewers. Thank you so much. We hit 1,000 subscribers this past week, and it was just, I'm just honored by that. I really am, and I thank you for that. And please subscribe. If you're watching us, please subscribe. But if you're watching us from China, VidBlaster is now available in a Chinese version, an Asian version. So that's really cool. That's VidBlaster 3.33. We'll be talking about that some more on the show. We'll be talking about the kind of the latest, greatest easy cap, that USB frame grabber. Well, we've got one that does HDMI, and we'll talk about that. And then upcoming guests on the show, we're going to try to bring some guests in. I've been neglecting that. But Scott from Osprey, you remember Osprey and Viewcast? They are back on the scene with some great new offerings. After the first of the year, they're going to be pitching some new cards, and so we'll have Scott from Osprey on there to talk with us. In fact, he's going to send me some demo cards. I promise I won't try to install them the day of a show. We'll try to have them up long before that so that I can break them and fix them and then have them ready to go. But they've got some new HDMI cards that are going to be pretty cool. And then coming up either next week or the week after, RJ Murdoch from East Coast TV will come on to tell us about how he streamed his Division I basketball tournament and all the great things on that. And then somebody that you probably don't know, that's probably under your radar, but is a very interesting guy, George Price from the Pendleton Gazette up in Indiana, is kind of a VMix guy, and we're hoping to have him on the show here before too long. George, hat tip to you. He and I have been corresponding, and we're just trying to get a date. So lots of cool stuff going on. Now, full disclosure here. I am an authorized reseller for VidBlaster and for vMix, and still working towards that with Wirecast. In our what do you call it? I guess our kind of our host website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, you will find a store where you can purchase the the VidBlaster or the vMix, and there's also a streaming accessories store where you can get some of these maybe hard to find things that we talk about, and these are the ones that I have tested myself personally, that exact model. It's not like, here, go find something that looks like this, or, is in the same price range as this. But no, there are things that I've either tested, that I have tested, and that I'm possibly still using live, like, the cameras and the capture cards and things like that. So check out the streaming accessory store. It basically is just links to Amazon, and I get an affiliate commission on anything that you buy there, so I'm always appreciative of that. So we got that dirty work out of the way. One other piece of information that you might be interested in. If you are starting out streaming and you're struggling a little bit, and you think a 5 or 10 minute phone call with me might help, shoot me an email, tom@streamingidiots.com, and I'd be delighted to set up a time to chat with you and see if we can't kind of get you started on the right foot. I got a call, I guess, last week from some folks, and they'd already purchased some equipment, but they weren't quite sure what to do with it. And I hate to see you get the cart before the horse. Let's sit down and try to figure out what you need. What do you want to do? And based on what you want to do, we can figure out what you need. And so no sense in buying stuff that you can't use, or buying more than you need or buying less than you need. That can be disappointing too if you think, oh, well, you know, I can do this with a Radio Shack switcher for $169 and then find out, oh, but it doesn't do overlays and it doesn't do scores and all that stuff. Yeah, don't want to go there. Okay, let's dive right into it. Let's talk about the latest offering from VidBlaster. It is VidBlaster version 3.33. Well, you say, hold on a second, Tom. The last one from VidBlaster was 3.30. What happened to 3.31 and 3.32? Well, 3.31 was a limited release beta. I managed to get a copy of it, quite by accident, I'm sure. And 3.32, I think, I'm reading between the lines, I think it was an OEM beta because there's some new OEM stuff in 3.33. So I suspect that that was probably tried out with the OEM folks. The way Mike Versteeg, the developer of VidBlaster, does his numbering is that basically any rendition that gets submitted is in the numbering. And whether it's a public beta or a private beta, it continues that consecutive numbering system. So I remember back in the 3.20 days, there was a string of private betas where they were trying to work out some things kind of off the charts, so that when they put out a public beta, it would be something that would actually work, and people, you know, could find the little tweaks to improve it, as opposed to finding big major flaws. So here we go. Here's the list, and you can get this list yourself by going to forum.vidblaster.com and going to the downloads section and looking for downloads on beta 3.33. But in the streamer, they added support for a UDP multicast, and also, and this is kind of interesting for those of you folks that might be thinking to build a PC and to resell it with VidBlaster as part of it. And I can help you with the acquiring VidBlaster part, but you can actually, it says in the about, the little splash screen that comes up, you can add your product name, your company URL, and contact that wouldn't say VidBlaster. So that's pretty cool. And so that means that basically you can private label VidBlaster now by using that. In the output, and remember that VidBlaster, you can download the beta version 3.33, and even if you don't have a license, it'll pop up as what they call the Studio Edition. There are 4 editions to VidBlaster. There's the Home Edition, the Pro Edition, the Studio Edition, and the Broadcast Edition. And the Trial Edition is the Studio Edition, so it's almost the top dog. But you can get a trial version of that. It's an unlimited trial. The only limitation is, well, I say unlimited, and then I say the only limitation. It's an unlimited trial. You can use it as long as you want. The only thing that distinguishes it from a licensed version is a watermark that says VidBlaster trial. But it doesn't obscure the screen. It's not out here. It's off to the side, and there's no audio that comes in to kind of override your audio. So you could conceivably use it. I think I used it for a couple of soccer matches way back when I didn't have my licensed edition on that same PC. The output module, the recorder module, and the streamer module now have a trial logo that is resized, and it looks a little better. So it doesn't look kind of hokey like the other one did. In the audio player, there's now a play pin, so if you're using the API to control VidBlaster, and the API is really cool. You're going to have to get Alan Punt back on again and update us on what he's doing with API. There's a play pin in the API, and one of the problems that it wasn't a problem, it was a kind of not a feature. Well, anyway, the audio module that's the module that allows you to play MP3s and other audio-only broadcast files, and it had a choice for no sound. Well, why would you want an audio module that had no sound? I mean, that was how you chose your device, whether it was going to be speaker A or speaker B or whatever. And so now they've just dropped that because it was just kind of silly. Shouldn't have been there. And I spent way too much time even talking about it. the audio player title used to change to show the caption, or the song name. It doesn't do that anymore. So that was a change. And then in the playout module, and for those of you that really missed the old playlist and are kind of gradually warming up to the new playout module, you want to know that Mike has kind of turned his attentions back to the playout module now, and it's time to, now that it's been up and been out there for a while and people could play with it and see what they liked and what they didn't like, now's the time to go back to the forum and begin to make your feature requests about the playout module, or to comment on other people's requests or other people's comments about the playout module. I think now is the time to kind of get your licks in, as it were, about what you'd like to see have happen with that playout module. The playout now will take an audio player as one of the listings that it will work with. So that's good. Previously it only did video, so now it will do audio as well. And in the API, the playout now has pins for file and player. So that's good if you're using the API to control the playout module. It's beginning to get a little bit more mature. There was a bug in the recorder version 2 module that there's a little audio volume meter that sat over here and kind of went up to probably about there. And if you resize that module, the meter didn't resize with it. It was just a kind of a cosmetic thing, and so that's been fixed. And then let's see, to use the recorder version 2 and the streamer version 3, they wouldn't work together at the same time. So that was a bug, and that's been fixed. And for those of you that have been waiting to use the new recorder, remember there are two different renditions of the recorder module, the original one, Recorder 1, and the new one, Recorder 2. The new recorder had a problem doing its MP4s, and there was a bug in that, and that has been fixed. I haven't tested it, but the paperwork on the beta says that has been fixed and is ready to be used. And let's see. And the streamer had a bug in it that had to do with Flash Media Lab Encoder 3.2, and sometimes it wouldn't work. And so those of you that had used Flash Media Lab Encoder separately because of this bug don't have to do that anymore. So that's a pretty big deal. And then, of course, the other big deal is that it's available in what appears to me to be Chinese, but I am not a good one with languages. Mike says in his release that it's oh, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Let me read you what it says. It says, this release introduces several new OEM features and related bug fixes to create a fully branded and localized version of VidBlaster in any Asian language. Wow, so it's not just Chinese. To interface with professional broadcast equipment, the Streamer 3 module now supports UDP multicast streaming. In addition to many other bug fixes, this release also introduces some new API pins for you power users. So that's what's going on with VidBlaster 3.30. You can download a trial version of that at forum.vidblaster.com. Go to the download section, and then you can just click on the version 3.33, scroll down to the bottom where it says download the new VidBlaster here, and you can have it. You can buy it in the store, or as Mike says, at your local reseller. Hey. If you don't already have a license. Now, if you've already got a version 3 license and you want to upgrade from version 3.17 to 3.33 to see how it looks, because you've had problems with the playout module or maybe the recorder module or the streamer module, any one of those bugs, you can do that, and it's a free, as long as it's within the major version 3s, you can upgrade that for no additional charge. And if for some reason you find out you upgrade to version 3.33 and there's something there that doesn't work the way you think it should, and you need to revert back to your 3.17 or whatever you were using, you can do that, and it won't affect anything. It'll be good. This is interesting. Okay, so let's see, where are we going here with that? So next week we will have, we'll probably have a little deeper review of that, having actually used these things. I want to go in and use the recorder and use the streamer, and looking forward to it. In fact, I was hoping to be able to actually use the VidBlaster streamer to stream this show today, but I couldn't get my act together on that one, so that's my bad. Dropped the ball. Hence, we're not doing that VidBlaster Guy show right now, and we're doing it kind of under the moniker of Streaming Idiots. So I tend to use those somewhat interchangeably, and sometimes we'll have the opportunity to have two shows. One would be VidBlaster specific, that VidBlaster Guy, and the other would be more generic on a multitude of products, and that would be under Streaming Idiots. And so today, since we're kind of doing a bunch of different things, we thought we would do it under the Streaming Idiot moniker. I want to give a shout out and welcome Martin and Jim. I see you guys popped into the chat room. Glad to have you. And Jim, while I am reminded of that, Jim asked me when we were going to do another show on WebRTC, because we did a show on WebRTC, I guess about a year and a half ago, as an alternative to Skype. For those of you that are doing a show that where you either have a co-host that calls in or you have guests that call in, Skype has been sort of the preferred kind of go-to video, whatever you want to call it, software, and WebRTC has matured a lot and has some great possibilities for that. And now it's to the point where you can embed a WebRTC, kind of a WebRTC client in your own website and correspond with folks. I mean, have live video conversations with folks like that. And so you could set up a special web page that you would just send a guest the link to, and it would have that in there. But that's going to be cool. So Jim, we're working on that, and in fact, actually working on putting that page together so that we can test it. One of the things that for those of you that have multiple Skype guests, the issue was if let's say you have 3 Skype guests and they're all calling in on the same PC. And so you've got 3 videos on the screen, and you're doing a screen capture to capture all 3 of them. If one of them drops off, then Skype reorganizes the screen and goes from 2 up and 1 down to just sort of 2 in the center, and your screen captures have sort of kind of messed up, as it were. And so the thought is that with WebRTC, you can have sort of fixed video windows. So if you're doing screen capture, that it wouldn't require configuration if somebody dropped out. The other possibility, and I don't know enough to even know if this is even a possibility, is to skip the whole screen capture part and let somehow WebRTC be embedded into the video software, so that when somebody calls in on that WebRTC link, that it comes up as a camera in your software. Now, wouldn't that be cool? That would be the best, and then you could have multiple links, one for each camera, and send them back a return video that was the program or the preview or whatever you wanted it to be, whatever you predetermined would be the video that they would get. So, Jim, that's a little update on WebRTC at this point to say it's still in the works. It's coming, but it hasn't come yet. Let's see. Bear with me for a second. I want to add a video that I did a little while ago to the lineup here, so that I can show you, because this video basically was my review of this kind of cool new product. And you know what? For some reason, it's not allowing me to save that. How about that? Well, I'll just have to tell you about it. That's what I get for waiting till the last minute. there is, and I alluded to it earlier in the show, a new device out there. It's not new in the sense that, you know, people haven't thought about this before, but it's new in the sense that, oh golly, maybe you've seen it and tried it and it didn't work, but what we've got is you know, say the Blackmagic Intensity Pro card that I've got here on my production machine. It takes a little finagling, you know, with the frame rate and the resolution and the device to get it to show an image of any kind. This device, which came up as a HD TV cam, immediately produced a picture. Now, in vMix, you had to select the correct resolution, which would be 720. But in both Wirecast and VidBlaster, it popped right up and provided video immediately. I wish we could get that video going. I'm not sure why it won't import. But the quality of the video was very good. The color was good. The frame rate, or the, you know, kind of the ghosting effect you get as you have movement, was really interesting, because in Wirecast it was very noticeable, kind of a ghosting as you moved your hand. In vMix it was non-existent, and VidBlaster too. It was a great smooth transition or movement. And this was after, you know, I installed it, played with it for 10 minutes, you know, 20 minutes, trying to try out all the features, and then actually used the card attached to my Canon HF200 to make a short video. Now the video, I'll give another try here in a second, see why I can't bring it up. It's an MP4, and I've taken other MP4s. That's really weird. Oh, I know what. I bet it's not really there. There it is. Bingo. So let me show it to you. Let's try this little thing right here. Let's see. I'm gonna bring it in, and this is me. Okay, guys, got an interesting review here for you of the Febon 168 USB driver-free UVC HDMI Grabber card. How about that for the name of a product? Boy, that's a mouthful. It's from the folks at Sunrise Company Limited out of Taiwan, Andy Zhang and his outfit over there. This is something that he's invented and he builds himself. I bought it from him directly. It was about $175, and that included shipping from Taiwan. Took about 8 or 9 days to arrive to me. And essentially what it is this particular card is a USB 2.0 easy cap frame grabber, except it converts it to HDMI. I'm actually using the card for this review. It's attached to my production PC. The camera is a Canon Vixia HF200 going HDMI to the capture device. The frame rate is a little low, as you can tell, and there's about a half a second delay, and I'm using my video software to delay my audio a little bit so that it syncs up with the video a little bit better. I don't think I'm spot on, but I think I'm close enough for this review. Interesting little card. The price is definitely right, and I can imagine that if you were going to use this, for example, in a studio for a one-man show. I haven't worked with the card long enough. I think there might be a way to boost the frame rate up so that it was a little smoother video. Certainly the clarity of the video is really, really good. And so it's just that kind of that video delay that seems to be the shortcoming with the card. I have read that some of the other folks that have this card have figured out how to reduce that video latency and kind of get it synced up pretty well. So that's cool. I need to do some more looking to find out exactly how they've done that. The Febon 168 USB driver-free UVC HDMI grabber card. How about that? It's pretty cool. It installed immediately. I plugged it into the port and it found the necessary drivers. Didn't take long. Plugged the camera into it. The video came up immediately. It wasn't like some of the other cards that you put in that you have to configure it. It is called an HD TV cam in the device part of Windows. I'm using Windows 7 for this, but I understand that it works with 8 and works with Mac and works with Linux. So that's the Febon 168 USB driver-free USB. UV. Let me start that again. That's the Febon 168 USB driver-free UVC HDMI grabber card from Sunrise Limited and Andy Zhang. It's worth a shot. Worth a shot. We'll have to keep an eye on this one. Thanks for watching. So it's a mouthful, I tell you what. One of the other interesting things about the card, and let me bring up a couple of the pictures here. Now, hoping that perhaps I would have reduced the latency just a little bit, but it didn't seem to matter. It's the bottleneck is in the unit somewhere. Now they do make a USB 3 device that's similar to the Magewell dongle that I just didn't happen to have the cash on hand to try. This one was about $165, $175, maybe $185 with shipping from Taiwan. Took about 10 days to get here, so it wasn't totally outrageous. Came, air freight or whatever. The comes with a nice USB extension cable. I don't have it. Oh yeah, I do have it with me. So if you're traveling with this guy, it's got a little cigarette lighter kind of look to it. has a case with the HDMI on the other end. Let's see if we've got a camera shot we can show better than that. Yeah, here we go. That there is a delay. It's about a half a second. Now I played around in vMix with it, doing the delay, and I think it ended up being like 400 milliseconds or something like that. And I suspect it's probably a little different from system to system, depending on how your system is configured and what speed everything's running at internally, and where the weakest link is. That probably determines how much video delay there is and how much you would have to delay the audio to get to it. But I can imagine some circumstances where it would be great to have high definition video where the frame rate, where the delay would not be significant. Let's say you were doing a show and showing a product like this a high definition. You had a great camera that you wanted to use for it because you wanted to show all the details. There was little to no movement in the shot, and something like this would be perfect. This would also be great, I'm sure, in a traveling situation where you want to plug it into a laptop because you don't have, maybe it's an older laptop. I tried this with my 8-year-old Dell Inspiron before I tried it on my production PC today, and plugged right in. Drivers loaded immediately. Camera was found. Had a great picture. I tried it in VidBlaster, and it worked great. Up the resolution of VidBlaster all the way up to 720, and it was a crystal clear image. Now again, it being a laptop, an underpowered laptop at that, little dual core, it didn't have I think it had even more than a half a second delay. But for anything that would be a still image, it was really, really, really crystal clear. So if you've got a high definition camera and you want to be able to use it in a stationary situation where both the camera and the subject don't move, then that would be a really good solution too. And it was, again, I think $167 was the cost, plus maybe another $15 or $20 for shipping. And that was Sunrise, and that's let me get that for you again. SUNRIASE. SUNRIASE.com. And that's Sunrise Company Limited, Andy Zhang. Zhang is TZENG. And I had a good set of email correspondence with him, and seemed like a very nice guy. Has got all sorts of cool things that he's building, and I imagine that it's kind of probably low volume production that he may be doing on his own. Timothy's asking in the chat room, can you run it with other webcams without conflicts? I did this morning, Timothy. Had the other webcams going up, and there were no conflicts. And yeah, you might worry about what happens to the USB bus when suddenly you start running high definition video through, and indeed that was a concern, but it didn't appear to be a problem for me this morning. Let's see, other questions. How much latency? We talked about a half a second latency. Cost was about $165, $175. That's US. At this point, I think the only place you can get these is from Andy himself. I don't think he has resellers set up anywhere. In fact, it was kind of funny. I asked him if I could be a reseller for him in the United States, and he wrote me back and said if I wanted to sell it, that was fine. I could sell it on eBay. He didn't have a problem with that. I think he was thinking that I might want to sell this one, but I was just curious to know if this is something that's going to catch on. You're going to need some distribution in the U.S. So I'll keep you up to date on that one if we get any more news on whether he ends up having a reseller in the U.S. or not. But it's a cool little device, and it probably has its place there. So that is the whatever it was, the Febon 168 USB driver for a UVC HDMI Grabber card. We need to talk with him about his titles. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. And I tell you what, if you are in the States, we're not going to do it out of the state, but if you're in the States and if you'd like to borrow this and test it, shoot me an email, tom@streamingidiots.com, and I'll send it to you and let you play with it, test it, and see what you think. And we'll see. Maybe we can find a way to reduce the latency and make it a really usable device. That would be really neat. I can think a lot of folks in kind of a low budget situation where it would be nice to have a high definition camera input. Okay, so unless there are other questions from our noble chat room, we are going to push on, press on as it were, press on, press on. Coming up the first of the year, really kind of excited about this. We're going to begin our push here in our local community, that is Fairhope, Alabama, and the surrounding area, what's called the Eastern Shore. Not to be confused with the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which is beautiful. This is the Eastern Shore of Mobile Bay in Mobile, Alabama. We're going to begin our local push to involve local businesses in doing video similar to what we've done here on Streaming Idiots and that VidBlaster Guy, where we would have a show, could be live to tape or could be live and taped, but where folks would have the opportunity to come in and talk about what their business was doing, bring guests in, do testimonials, and basically promote their business through video. And I will tell you that the fact that YouTube is now the #2 search engine, get that right, YouTube is the #2 search engine in the U.S. and perhaps the world. I don't know about that, but definitely the U.S. Says that that people are looking for stuff, they look for it on YouTube. If they're looking at how to do something or want to be entertained or whatever it is, when they do a search on YouTube, I'm not just talking about going and browsing through a bunch of stuff, but when they're searching out something in particular, the second most popular search function is the YouTube search function. So there are lots of ways to leverage that in your favor. And it doesn't happen overnight. You can't put up a video showing how to capture a water moccasin snake and have 1,000 people write you an email the next day saying thank you very much. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It takes a while for things to get out there, and it takes it's like throwing out seeds. You're constantly throwing out seeds, and each video is a seed, and that seed takes a while to kind of work its way down into the soil and get watered and germinate and then grow. And the videos are the same way. They take a little while to get discovered, and the more of them you got out there, the higher likelihood that whatever you're doing is going to get discovered. I think we've got, golly, nearly 200 videos out there now between Streaming Idiots and that VidBlaster Guy. And last week we hit, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, we hit 150,000 views. That's just amazing. And we've got over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, subscribers. But what that tells me is the power of video, the power of video. So if you are in business and you haven't done video, you need to take a hard, long look at it. If I can help you with that, call me. I mean, we're going to do local here, but that doesn't mean that we can't help somebody that's out of town get their video offering kind of configured and organized and up and moving. We're developing a portable video studio that means it comes in a bag, and you open up the bag and pull everything out, and before you know it, you've got a studio with a green screen behind you and all that you need to have in order to make this stuff work. Let's see. Got a note in the chat room, kind of catching up on our discussion, that there is a USB 3 version of this card, the Febon 198, that claims to have very low latency. So that would be interesting. We might give that a try as well. So that brings us about to the end of our time. Let me check the show notes here and make sure that we haven't forgotten anything. Coming up for Christmas, just a scheduling note, we won't be broadcasting on Christmas Eve, which is December 24th, and I'm not sure yet whether we'll be broadcasting on New Year's Eve, which will be December 31st. But we may do an alternate day, just so that we've got something that we've got taped that we can put on YouTube. So if that's the case, I'll make sure that I put it on the Twitter feed and on the front page of VidBlasterGuy.com and Eastern Shore Broadcasting. If you've got some questions, please feel free to send them to me, Tom@streamingidiots.com. Be happy to answer your question by email. If you need extensive tech support, we would ask you to purchase a tech support package, but we can certainly do that. If you need help getting something installed or getting a camera configured or something like that, we can help. If you are interested in having us consult with you on building a PC for your specific needs, we can certainly do that. We've got lots of clients that we've done that for in the past, and they seem to be very happy based on the fact that they don't call us much to ask stupid questions. Not that they did, but anyway, and I'm rambling. Boy, that's a terrible place to be, is to ramble. So, anyway, that's been the show today. Thanks so much. Oh, I know the last thing I was going to say. If you have some ideas on somebody that you think might make a good guest to come on and talk to us about different parts of the whole internet video broadcasting field, we'd love to hear who you have in mind. If you've got some ideas for a show, of course, we'd love to do that. And I want to give hat tip to, in particular, to Jim Moline for pushing me on WebRTC, and that one will be coming down the pike. But it's been a treat to be with you, and I look forward to the next time, which will be next week, next Wednesday. So for those of you watching live, hang around. Martin K has got cookies and warm milk for all of us. And for those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe, and we hope to see you live here sometime on that VidBlaster Guy. Have fun and have a great holiday.
Streaming Idiots is brought to you by Eastern Shore Broadcasting. Visit our website at www.easternshorebroadcasting.com.